speaking of rules and, going through free agency, and I think this is something we could probably add with free agency. This is something that comes up every single year, and it happens in these armchair GMs that I just did on Cap Friendly, but offer sheets. Like everybody talks about offer sheets like they're happening all the time, when in the reality is it's extremely rare. Like the last one that I remember is Sebastian Aho, and then just very Kotkaniemi was, I think, was the last like one that actually worked. Was the Hurricanes offer sheeting Kotkaniemi, and they didn't match it. And all right, see you later. They took the compensation.
Yeah.
Why do you think they're not as prevalent in the league as maybe people think they would be? Have you any theories for that?
No.
All right, moving on.
No.
No. Oh man.
I think teams may just like they don't necessarily value that compensation pick.
So do you think it's just not enough? Because
I don't think it's enough for.
Well, the way that it's tiered is interesting because it depends on how much money you're actually giving a player.
Okay.
So like you can how the compensation works, right?
In the NHL.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So like, all right. So if you don't know, this is interesting. So there's a tiered system in terms of, okay, if I offer sheet somebody, like I go to this restricted free agent and go, I'm going to offer you $8 million for 7 years, right?
Okay.
The 8 million is what determines what the draft pick compensation is. So like there's different tiers. So if I offer somebody like $1 million, there's no compensation. It's not, right?
Nothing.
If I go up to certain, like again, we'd have to pull that up, but like if you go over a certain amount, like 9 million, it might be like 4 first-round draft picks. It might be 3 first-round draft picks, right? So it's a heavy toll to like sign these guys. Now the way that this works too is there are some teams that like physically wouldn't be able to match an offer sheet based on their actual draft picks. Like I look at a team like Toronto, like if they had an RFA that I wanted that was worth something, and I know that they don't have a second, third, I can offer sheet the guy, and if he signs it, they can't match it, right? So like it's something where with the restricted free agent, I think the way that the GMs would have to look at that is, okay, let's say your player gets offer sheet, they sign it, right?
Yeah.
You go, okay, it's for $5 million. Is that something I'd want to pay him? Okay, we were hoping for 4. Let's say, right? We're hoping for a little bit less. The term is fine. Let's say, okay, but what's the compensation? Okay, it's a first round and a second rounder. Now, if I take myself outside of this restricted free agent thing, and I just went to another team, or another team came to me and offered me a first rounder and a second rounder for that player, would I do it?
Yeah.
Because if the answer is yes, then I think I take the compensation, right? If it's, well, no, I would want a lot more, you probably match and you sign them, right? Maybe you try to trade them for more later. So it's like all asset management. So like my theory would be the compensation versus like the money might not line up perfectly for this to actually happen, for it to be successful. Like I think offer sheets are only in extreme circumstances where you try to take advantage of a team. The other thing too is like, if we're both GMs of a hockey team and I go and offer sheet one of your players, I think it's something that like it's kind of unspoken, like, kind of don't do that. You know what I mean? Where I don't care. You have that relationship of like, okay, I don't want to like, it's a blind side. It really is. Yeah. Or it's I go to you and go, okay, I just want to let you know we're throwing an offer sheet at so-and-so, we're not trying to, screw you over, but we really like him as a player.
Yeah.
So unless you want to make a trade, we're going to offer sheet him. If he signs it, let us know, right? So I think that might be a big reason why as well.
Could be. Yeah. Could be, because you don't want to necessarily burn any bridges for a team that you want to possibly trade with down the line. And
of course, I mean, if you can get an asset, for those picks, and you sign on to what you think he's worth, then great. But like Timo Meier, 40 goals this year, he's restricted free agent, and I think he's talking with the Devils and probably will sign an 8-year deal. But like, if you wanted to go offer sheet him, I think the Devils match it no matter what. Like, no matter what you give them, but also the compensation would be insane. So like, you'd have to really be careful, because if you go to them and offer them offer Meyer an insane contract, and the Devils go for it. We'll take 4 firsts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fine, we'll go and trade these 2 firsts for someone that's like him, and then keep the other 2. Thank you very much. You know what I mean? Now we have flexibility in the like. There's all these things you can't just go and like dick around and be like, oh, we'll pump it up. I don't think GMs do that to try to inflate another team's like cap situation. You could.
You very much.
But you could screw yourself too if you're like, oh, this guy's not worth or whatever. You know.
Oh, they're not going to take it,
or if a team doesn't have the cap space, like they'd have to find a way to create that cap space before they match the offer sheet. So I think that's why offer sheets don't happen that much in the NHL. You know, so it's an interesting rule that they have, but I don't think it's something is really gonna like pop up that much. It pops up way too much for people like, 18 candidates for an offer sheet. It's like, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
You have to find those extreme circumstances.